Let me ask you something. What would your life look like if your mind was working for you instead of against you? What could you accomplish if every thought in your head pulled you closer to your dreams instead of pushing you back into fear, doubt, and procrastination? The truth is, we're all brainwashed, every single one of us, either by the world or by the word, either by our past pain or our future purpose, either by negativity or by the promises we keep speaking over ourselves every single day. But here's the good news. You can reprogram your mind. You can brainwash your own brain. And you don't need 30 days. You don't need a year. You can start right now. And in 7 days, everything can change. Let me break it down for you. Number 1, decide who you are. The first step to transforming your mind is to make a decision, a real, non-negotiable, soul-level decision about who you are. This isn't about who your family thinks you are. This isn't about who your boss says you are. This isn't even about who you used to be. This is about choosing your identity with intention, clarity, and power. Because if you don't decide who you are, the world will do it for you. And trust me, the world is not interested in seeing you win. When you decide who you are, you shift everything. You don't act like a champion because you feel like it. You act like a champion because you've already decided that's who you are. Decision creates direction, and direction creates destiny. It's not about trying to become something. It's about claiming what's already in you and aligning everything in your life with that truth. Too many people are living out an identity they never consciously chose. They're living by default, not design. They're repeating patterns handed down by parents, teachers, culture, or trauma. They're stuck in a story that doesn't serve them. That story might sound like, I'm always anxious, I'm just not that smart, or people like me never get ahead. But every one of those lines is a script, and scripts can be rewritten. The power to rewrite your identity starts with a decision. Not a wish, not a hope, a decision. A real decision is not made with your mouth, it's made with your spirit. It's a line in the sand moment where you say, I'm not that person anymore. I'm done with the version of me that hesitates, that settles, that second guesses. This is the moment where you plant a flag in the ground and say, from this day forward, I am this. Not I will be, I am. That's how transformation begins. Your brain is wired to follow the instructions you give it. So when you say, I am confident, your brain doesn't argue. It gets to work trying to make that reality. When you say, I am a leader, your subconscious starts scanning for ways to validate that belief. That's how powerful identity is. It doesn't wait for the world to give you permission. It creates alignment from the inside out. The reason this is the first step is because your mind won't accept a new direction until it knows who's in charge. And most people are letting fear, comfort, or past failure run the show. But when you decide who you are, you take the steering wheel back. You override fear. You silence doubt. You don't need outside validation when your internal identity is clear. This decision must be intentional. You can't just say, I want to be successful. You need to define it, declare it, own it. Say it until your bones believe it. Say it until it feels awkward. Then say it again until it feels normal. Because the moment it feels normal is the moment you start living from it instead of reaching for it. This decision doesn't mean you'll never feel weak. It means you'll show up even when you feel weak, because your identity is stronger than your emotion. Emotions are temporary. Identity is foundational. The decision to define yourself by your highest potential, not your past performance, is the most powerful thing you can do. Number 2, starve the lies. Your mind is a battlefield, and the loudest voice doesn't always tell the truth. Most of the limitations holding you back aren't real. They're lies you've heard so many times that you started to believe them. Lies from your upbringing, from your failures, from your fears. Lies like, you're not enough, you'll never change, success isn't for people like you. And the reason those lies have power is because you've been feeding them. Every time you repeat them, entertain them, or agree with them, You're reinforcing a belief that was never yours to begin with. To take control of your mind, you have to make a bold decision. Starve the lies. Cut off their supply lines. Stop giving them airtime. You can't expect to live in truth if you're still renting space in your head to falsehood. Lies thrive in repetition, attention, and emotion. So if you want to weaken them, you have to strip them of those three things. You stop repeating them, you stop focusing on them, and you stop reacting emotionally to them like they're facts. Most people think thoughts just show up randomly, but thoughts are invited by patterns. If you've been living in self-doubt for years, it's not an accident, it's a pattern. Somewhere along the line, a lie was planted and you kept watering it. Maybe someone told you as a child that you were slow, lazy, or not as smart as your sibling. That seed got buried in your subconscious, and over time you gave it sun, water, and attention until it became a belief system. Now it shows up every time you try to step into something greater. But just because something grew doesn't mean it belongs. You can uproot it. You starve lies by starving their source. Pay attention to what you're watching, what you're reading, and who you're listening to. If your social media feed is filled with fear, comparison, and mediocrity, you're feeding lies. If your daily conversations are with people who speak more death than life, you're feeding lies. If the voice in your own head is constantly replaying failure, you're feeding lies. You need to flip the script, cancel the noise, and protect your mental diet like your future depends on it. Because it does. Starving lies also means refusing to speak them over yourself. Self-deprecating humor, stop it. Calling yourself names when you make mistakes, cut it out. Downplaying your abilities so others feel comfortable, that's not humility, that's self-sabotage. Your words are programming your mind. Every sentence is either building or breaking your internal world. Be ruthless with your language. If it doesn't serve your destiny, don't say it. Another critical part of starving lies is learning to separate facts from fiction. Just because you failed at something doesn't mean you're a failure. Just because you feel overwhelmed doesn't mean you're incapable. Feelings are not facts. But lies love to disguise themselves as feelings so they can sneak past your defenses. That's why awareness is so powerful. You need to challenge your thoughts, question them, interrogate them. Ask, is this truth or just something I believed for too long? There's a reason lies are so persistent. They've been rehearsed, and anything rehearsed becomes a habit. If you want to break the habit, stop rehearsing, interrupt the cycle. When a thought comes that says you're not qualified, don't argue with it. Replace it, say out loud, I am more than enough. When your mind whispers, you'll never make it, you shout back, watch me. The key isn't to pretend the lies don't exist. The key is to stop giving them the final word. They don't get to narrate your story anymore. They don't get to shape your identity. Number 3, feed your faith. Faith is not just some abstract belief that lives in your heart. It's fuel for your mind. What you feed grows and what you starve dies. So if you want your faith to grow stronger than your fear, you have to feed it daily, not occasionally, not when you feel like it. Every single day with intention and discipline, you have to give your faith the nutrients it needs to dominate your mindset and lead your life. Because faith doesn't just grow on its own, it's built brick by brick, word by word, input by input. Faith comes by hearing, which means you have to control what you're listening to. If you're surrounded by doubt, scarcity, and negativity, don't be surprised when your belief in yourself starts to fade. You can't keep listening to people who've given up on their dreams and expect to stay inspired to pursue yours. You have to make a conscious decision to immerse your mind in words that lift, challenge, and stretch you. Listen to messages that speak life into your soul. Read books that expand your vision. Watch content that reminds you what's possible. What enters your ears goes straight into your heart and eventually becomes your habits. Faith needs evidence. It doesn't mean you always feel certain, but it means you're focused on what is true and possible, not what is lacking and limited. Every time you recall a past victory, you're feeding your faith. Every time you choose to believe in your purpose, despite your pain, you're feeding your faith. Every time you write down a goal and speak it into existence, you're feeding your faith. These actions might seem small in the moment, but over time they create a mind that leans into confidence rather than collapses into fear. You also feed your faith by surrounding yourself with the right environment. Environments either nurture or poison your belief. If you're in rooms where everyone is talking about limitations, you'll start shrinking to fit in. But if you're in spaces where people are thinking big, moving bold, and refusing to settle, you'll feel your faith rising just from proximity. Don't underestimate the power of atmosphere. One conversation can reignite your fire. One connection can pull you out of a pit. One decision to walk into the right room can remind you who you really are. Your faith also feeds on repetition. The more you say it, the more you believe it. That's why affirmations are more than just positive thinking. They're spiritual nutrition. When you say, I am capable, I am chosen, I am built for this, you're programming your mind to align with your future instead of your fear. It may feel awkward at first, but awkward is a sign that you're breaking through old wiring. You're not lying to yourself. You're reintroducing yourself to the version of you that already exists, but has been buried under years of doubt and silence. Another way to feed your faith is to act on it. Nothing grows faith like movement. The moment you step toward your vision, even if you feel unqualified, your mind starts learning that belief isn't based on certainty, it's based on obedience. You move first and clarity follows. Every time you take a risk, speak up, invest in yourself, or take a step that your old self would have avoided, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. That vote strengthens your identity and feeds your faith at the same time. Faith must be louder than your fears, and that only happens through consistent nourishment. It's a daily decision to silence the noise, cancel the doubt, and focus your mind on what's true, what's possible, and what's promised. Feeding your faith isn't something you do once. It's a lifestyle, a mindset, a discipline that changes how you think, how you speak, and how you live. Number 4, control your language. Words are not just sounds, they are commands. Every time you speak, you give your mind instructions. You paint pictures in your subconscious that either build your future or bury it. If you want to change your life, you have to start by changing your language. Not someday, not when things get better, now. Because your words are seeds and your life is the harvest. The language you use about yourself, your circumstances, your goals, and your potential sets the ceiling for what's possible. The mouth is the steering wheel of your mind, and if you don't take control of it, you'll find yourself driving in circles of defeat. Most people don't even realize they're cursing their own progress every day. They say things like, I'm so tired, I can't afford that, I never get a break, it's just not me, or I always mess things up. And the mind, being obedient, says, okay, got it. It doesn't judge or argue. It simply follows. Your brain is listening, even when you think you're joking. The problem is your brain doesn't know the difference between sarcasm and instruction. Every time you say something, especially with emotion, you are writing code into your mental operating system. If that code is negative, disempowering, or full of fear, your actions will reflect it and your life will repeat it. You have to become ruthless about your vocabulary. Cut out language that weakens you. Stop saying, I'm trying. Trying is an excuse that gives you an exit. Say, I'm doing. Stop saying, I can't. Say, I'm figuring it out. Stop saying, I'm broke. Say, I'm building. Language doesn't just describe reality, it creates it. When you speak from a place of ownership, of power, of faith, your mind begins to rewire itself. You begin to believe in new possibilities. You begin to see new pathways, but it all starts with the words you choose. Your language creates identity. Every time you say, I am, you are not making a statement. You are creating a reality. I am tired is different than I need rest. I am always late is different than I'm learning to be on time. One speaks to permanent identity, the other to temporary behavior. You have to stop attaching failure to your identity. You are not your mistake. You are not your past. You are not your struggle. You are who you decide to be. And the way you decide that is by speaking it before you see it. Speak in alignment with where you're going, not where you've been. Use language that matches your vision, not your situation. If your bank account is low, don't say, I'm broke. Say, money is coming to me. I'm open to abundance. If you're facing a challenge, don't say, I can't handle this. Say, this is preparing me for the next level. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about telling the truth from a higher perspective. A truth that doesn't deny your reality, but declares your authority. You must also guard your casual conversations. What you say when you're relaxed often reveals what you really believe. So even in small talk, train yourself to speak life. Don't entertain gossip. Don't join in on complaints. Don't repeat the world's language of fear, lack, and drama. Speak differently, even when it feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is your brain adjusting to a higher frequency. That's growth. Your words are a thermostat, not a thermometer. They don't just reflect the atmosphere, they set it. Use them to raise your internal temperature. Use them to fuel your focus. Use them to silence your doubts. You're not waiting for the perfect moment to speak like a winner. You start speaking like a winner now, and your life will begin to respond accordingly. Control your language, and you begin to control your destiny. Number 5, move with purpose. Your body is a powerful tool for shaping your mind. The way you move, the energy you carry, the posture you maintain, all of it sends a message to your brain about how to think and feel. You can't think like a champion while walking like a victim. You can't expect confidence to show up in your life if you're slouched, dragging your feet and breathing shallow. Movement influences mindset. You want to shift how you think? Start by shifting how you move, because motion creates emotion, and the quickest way to break out of a mental slump is to change your physical state. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act, but that's backward. Action comes first, and the feeling follows. The moment you decide to move with purpose, your brain begins to wake up. Your senses sharpen. Your energy increases. Clarity starts to come. You don't need to have it all figured out before you move. You need to move in spite of uncertainty. Purposeful movement tells your mind that you're no longer interested in staying stuck. It tells your fear that you've chosen forward. You start training your brain to associate movement with progress and progress with power. How you show up in your daily life is either training your mind for excellence or for excuses. When you wake up late, scroll aimlessly, and move slowly through your morning, you're telling your brain that life is happening to you instead of through you. But when you wake up on time, move with intention, speak your goals, and execute your routine, you're reinforcing that you are in control. And that control builds confidence. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through repetition, through discipline, through the decision to walk like your purpose matters. Every move matters. The way you enter a room, the way you shake someone's hand, the way you sit during a meeting, the way you breathe before a challenge. These are not small details. They are signals to your brain. They tell your subconscious who you are and what you're about. You don't need to wait for the world to give you permission to move like a leader. You move like one now. You walk with your head up. You speak with clarity. You take action when others hesitate. That physical intensity becomes a mental identity. Purposeful movement isn't just about working harder. It's about aligning your actions with your intentions. It means not wasting motion on things that don't matter. It means eliminating distractions and engaging fully with whatever is in front of you. When you walk like you've got a destination. When you train like your life depends on it. When you work like your legacy is on the line. This intensity isn't about stress, it's about alignment. It's about acting like what you're doing matters because it does. How you do the small things is how you do everything. The more you train your body to move with purpose, the less room your mind has for doubt. Doubt hates momentum. It thrives in stillness, in indecision, in waiting. But when you're moving with clarity, taking steps, leaning forward, doubt starts to suffocate. It can't breathe in an atmosphere of action. That's why people who take massive action tend to stay in motion. Their body trains their mind to expect progress, and progress becomes addictive. You stop needing motivation and start becoming motivation. Your actions inspire your thoughts, not the other way around. You also have to eliminate passive habits that weaken your identity. Stop dragging your feet. Stop lounging through life. Stop waiting for the right time. Get up with urgency. Speak with energy. Work with fire. Your body is either a reflection of your greatness or a container for your comfort zone. You decide which one. But the moment you begin to move with purpose, everything begins to shift. Your focus, your mood, your belief, your result. Number 6, visualize the victory. Your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. That's why visualization is one of the most powerful tools you have to reprogram your thinking and rewire your future. When you see it clearly in your mind, you start to believe it. When you believe it, you start to behave like it. Victory begins in the imagination long before it shows up in reality. Champions don't just hope to win, they see the win before they step on the field. They play the game in their head so many times that when the moment comes, it's already familiar. Most people are using the power of imagination against themselves. They rehearse worst-case scenarios, imagine rejection, anticipate failure, and wonder why they feel stuck. They visualize being broke, embarrassed, overlooked, and then wonder why they lack the courage to move forward. That's because the mind moves in the direction of its most dominant picture. If fear holds the frame, fear controls the path. But if faith holds the frame, everything changes. You start moving with boldness. You start walking like someone who knows how the story ends. To visualize the victory means to engage every part of your mind in the process. It's not passive daydreaming. It's detailed, disciplined, and deliberate. You close your eyes and you see yourself in the room you want to be in, making the deal, delivering the message, crossing the finish line, launching the business, transforming your body, restoring your relationship. You hear the sounds, feel the emotions, taste the atmosphere. You bring the future into the now with such intensity that your body begins to align with it. That's when the mind starts treating it as reality and makes decisions to support it. You have to do it daily. Once is not enough. You don't brush your teeth once and expect lifelong hygiene. The same is true for your vision. It needs repetition. It needs reinforcement. You need to keep seeing it until doubt gets uncomfortable and leaves. You need to keep rehearsing it until your old limitations don't recognize you anymore. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is faith it until you manifest it. It's about letting your vision be more real to you than your circumstances. When you consistently visualize success, you program your subconscious mind to look for opportunities, solve problems, and create momentum. You start seeing doors you never noticed before. You start attracting people who align with your mission. Your conversations change. Your habits shift. Your energy increases. Because you've already seen yourself win, the fear of losing loses its grip. You're not guessing who you are. You've already seen it, felt it, and believed it. You have to be specific. Don't just say you want to be successful. What does that look like? What does it feel like when you wake up in your dream life? What are you wearing? What do you see when you walk into your office? Who's around you? What kind of person are you becoming? The clearer the image, the stronger the belief. Vague visions create weak minds. But a focused, detailed vision creates laser-sharp clarity that cuts through distraction, temptation, and discouragement. There will be days when the current reality looks nothing like your vision. That's when most people quit. But that's exactly when you double down on visualization. That's when you remind your mind that what you see is temporary, but what you believe is eternal. This is where mental toughness is built, not when things are going your way, but when they're not. And still, you choose to see the outcome you're fighting for. You must treat your vision like it's sacred. Protect it from people who can't see it. Speak it only to those who will water it. Return to it when the world tries to bury it. Your vision is not a fantasy, it's a preview, a glimpse of the future that already exists in potential, waiting for you to step into alignment with it. The more you see it, the more you become it. Number 7, eliminate the old identity. Transformation doesn't happen by simply adding new habits. It happens by subtracting the old identity that no longer serves you. You cannot step into the future while clinging to who you used to be. The mind cannot build a new destiny while being loyal to the same insecurities, stories, and survival strategies that shaped your past. If you want to brainwash your mind into a new reality, you must first break the agreement with the false version of yourself, that version that's addicted to approval, paralyzed by fear, bound by excuses, and satisfied with average, must be confronted and released. The most dangerous thing about the old identity is that it's comfortable, it's predictable, it's familiar. Even when it hurts, it feels safe because it's known. But comfort is the enemy of growth. The moment you begin to challenge the identity that's been running the show, resistance will show up. Doubt will whisper that you're not ready. Guilt will try to pull you back. Fear will scream for you to stop, but that resistance isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're evolving. Your brain is shedding an old skin, and like anything that's growing, it's going to be uncomfortable before it becomes powerful. Eliminating the old identity starts with becoming radically honest. You have to identify the lies you've been believing. Lies like, I'm not good enough. I always mess up. People like me don't win. I'm too late. Or I'll never catch up. These aren't facts. They're thoughts that have been rehearsed so often, they've become identity. You have to expose them, write them down, look them in the face, challenge them, and then replace them. Because what you tolerate in your mind will eventually dominate your life. You also have to disrupt the patterns that are connected to that identity. Patterns of procrastination, self-doubt, comparison, perfectionism, playing small, staying silent, shrinking in rooms where you should be leading. These are not just behaviors, they're symptoms of a mindset that was designed to keep you safe, not to make you great. You have to retrain your nervous system to respond to challenge with courage instead of fear. That starts by taking small, consistent actions that go against your old defaults. Speaking up when you'd normally stay quiet. Showing up when you'd usually hide, saying yes to opportunities that stretch you. That's how you break the pattern. The mind is loyal to identity. If you don't upgrade your self-opinion, you will sabotage your progress. You'll start building momentum and then unconsciously destroy it because your identity doesn't match your results. That's why so many people start over again and again. They're not lazy. They're not incapable. They're simply stuck in a cycle where their inner world can't support their outer goals. Until you truly see yourself as someone who is capable, worthy, powerful, focused, and deserving of success, you will keep pulling yourself back into the old role. Your words, your environment, your routines, your circle, all of these have to align with the new identity. If you want to become someone different, you have to stop hanging around people who only know the older version of you. You need new conversations, new standards, new environments that challenge you to rise, not return. You have to audit your habits. What do you do daily that reinforces the old identity? What needs to change in order to match the energy, the posture, the thinking of the version of you that you're becoming? This is a shedding process. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's psychological, and it's necessary. You cannot carry dead weight into a new dimension. The old self must be buried so the new self can be built. You don't become the next version of you by adding more. You become it by letting go. Letting go of shame, letting go of guilt, letting go of the story that says you are not enough. The moment you decide that version is no longer allowed to make your decisions, everything changes. You reclaim authority over your mind. You reclaim your vision. You reclaim your voice. You reclaim your future.